What is up, everybody? Happy Tuesday. I hope you guys are ready for a good show. I got a good show for you guys. Let's see. Welcome to another episode of the Black Line Brief. I'm your host, Matthew McKim. As you guys come in, please do me a favor. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. It's the best way to help this channel. It's the best way to help the channel. Please hit the like and subscribe as you come in, because we all know life gets the best of us sometimes. Our kids start tugging on us, telling us we need to go help. And so we get pulled away from the phone and we forget on the way out to hit the like. So on the way in, just hit it. Okay. Also, as you do that, if you're new, make sure you got to hit that bell again and hit the all, or else it just automatically sets it to personalized, which is nothing unless you personalize it. And so then you wouldn't be getting any notifications of my lives, which I only do one live a day. It's usually at 6 p.m. during the week. Today we're going early because I'm ready to go and Baron's not doing a show. And that just happened to rhyme. That wasn't on purpose. Okay, well, look, we got Jim Bear, we got Sonia Moore, Mystic in the house, Cindy, Finley son, and then we have Tracy, Julia Pierce, Ablaze, Anna, the Innuts. Yeah, we got a lot of people here. I'm glad. All right, let's get into it. I don't do a whole lot of fluff. I like to get straight to the point. All right. Let's get right into it.
Go. All right. Welcome to the Charlie Kirk Show. It is March 24th, 2026 here at the Bitcoin.com studio. Blake, how you doing?
Well, I was better a few minutes ago, Andrew.
And we will get into that in just a second. So,
all right. Just to set it up, I had to let you know what's coming, and then I'm going to set the stage. If you saw the description that I wrote, it's so funny. I wrote this description hours ago. Okay. Hours ago, way before Candace went live. And when she started setting up what her description of this clip that she ended up showing on her show tonight, it's exactly my sentiment. The worst acting ever. Okay. You will see more emotion from me in my response to these two clowns that they could muster up when talking about their former boss, their supposed friend who was assassinated. And the reason that is because you can't fake emotions that you don't have. I mean, actors can, okay? Professional actors and actresses can. These people are not that. Even if they've taken classes on it, that's not going to do the trick. It seems that, and Candace and Baron pointed out in yesterday's episode, and then today's, she followed it up, that it's beginning to look a lot like Andrew Kolvet was on the flights he's not supposed to be on, okay? Which means he had foreknowledge, which means that Erica wasn't on the flight she was on, and she was most likely already there, which means foreknowledge. Okay, which means Blake is in on this too, in my opinion. All right. And so that's why when they get up there and they do all of this attacking and accusing of Joe Kent, the real reason they know this is a big deal, you guys, I don't even know if everyone realizes what a big deal this is. Joe Kent, a literal war hero, 7, 8-time Bronze Star recipient, 11 combat tours, Green Beret. All right. Was the head of the NCTC, literally resigned in protest in a way that he could not let his name and be dragged into any sort of, agreement. Like his silence would be considered agreement with this war, right? Him staying there and them not listening to him about this war in Iran would be seen by people like he was part of it, and he couldn't do that. He swore that years ago when he was in Iraq and Afghanistan and Syria, that if he was ever in a position to stop an unnecessary foreign war where young men, American men and women, would be sent to die in a foreign country for another foreign country, he would stop it. He would say something. He would try to not allow it to happen. They didn't allow him to have any say. And so he had no other course of action. You want to know the difference between Dan Bongino and Joe Kent? One is a real man and a real American patriot, and the other is Dan Bongino. Okay? They knew TPUSA, Philly, everyone that it will be implicated in this whole thing, this whole Charlie Kirk assassination. Josh Hammer, Rabbi Wolicki, Erin Molan, or whatever her name is. We're going to look at a clip from her today because she had Josh Hammer on her show. Oh, what do you know? She works for Salem News. Oh, whoa, couldn't have seen that coming. Okay. Look, they know that Joe Kent is honorable, credible, had access to information, is speaking from firsthand account knowledge, and that him coming out and saying that there was more for him to look into, that he was shut down in his attempts to look into foreign possible involvement in the Charlie Kirk assassination, that's a big deal. And you're going to hear it straight from them. Okay. They're not mad for the reasons they say they're mad. They're mad because if we get Tyler Robinson off, okay, if we all band together and we can prove enough and bring enough doubt into the picture that possible jurors go into that courtroom, and when they're selected, they have in their mind everything that Candace Barron and now Joe Kent, Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly have done to bring forth real information as to the other possible, narrative or the other possible theories of who really killed Charlie Kirk, that there's a chance Tyler gets off. But then what? Well, another investigation, some investigation has to be really levied at finding out who killed Charlie Kirk, who took part in it, who helped plan it, who helped covered it up. It's going to point to all of them. They're all freaking out, and they know that. Okay, that's why they all got their marching orders over the weekend, and they all came out guns a-blazing on Monday. They're all spouting the same words. They're all saying the same things about Joe. They're all showing their cards 100%. So when you watch this, look at their faces and tell me, is this someone that's really mad for the reason they're saying they're mad? Or is it all just BS and smoke? And I will get to the supers as they come today. Please get them in. I just left Coach to come here. I love your content. Thank you, Crystal. I'm glad you're here. It's going to be a good show. I'm fired up. I'm pissed. I'm actually pissed for a real reason. Unlike these clowns who act like they're Charlie's friend, who act like they're mad, but they're mad for all the wrong reasons. And they never, ever will answer our questions that point to anything other than, them. They'll answer things when they're implicated in our questions, but not even then, because Andrew's not going to answer any questions when it comes to the planes, because his lawyer's going to tell him, zip it up, son. You're in deep water. All right, let's get into it. Blake, the Academy Award does not go to Blake Neff and Andrew Kolvet today, okay?
Moments ago,
they get the Dundee, all right?
New report from journalist Michael Shellenberger dropped. As you know, yesterday we covered the backstory, but what really happened with the screen grabs, the notorious screen grabs now, and I revealed to this audience that I did, in fact, share that screen grab with Joe Kent, and Joe suggested that I leak that publicly. I declined. I went back through our messages, and he suggested I do so twice. I declined.
Okay, pay attention. They are really trying to drive home. They're trying to implicate Joe, all right, that it was Joe that leaked the texts to Candace. I don't know if you guys caught the Mark Levin and Joe Kent debate last night. You should go listen to it. There's no video. It's just audio. And intentionally, So that's another talking head that got sent out to try to destroy Joe Kent. Joe Kent was honorable. He did a great job, even though Mark Levin's channel did everything they could to make it to where we couldn't hear Joe, that his audio was turned down. Mark Levin's was turned up. Mark Levin interrupted him at every chance he could get. He attacked him. He slandered him. He talked over him. And then he would cut to commercial in the middle of Joe talking, and then just would end it, like before. But Joe came out spectacular. If you got a brain, you're a real true American. You saw that for what it was. And it was a failed attempt by this side of the aisle to try to smear Joe and to discredit Joe so that no one will listen to anything he says. And that's what they're trying to do today. That's what he's trying to do now. Okay, like Andrew didn't send those texts to Candace. Joe denied it. He didn't send them to Candace. He's made it very clear. He answered so many times. He didn't send them to Candace.
Obviously, those were private messages. I wanted to keep them private for Charlie's sake. I thought it was honoring my friend. Anyway.
No, for your sake. Look how this smug little man. No, for your sake. For your sake, because you knew, Andrew, that this would show that Charlie really was under the pressure, under the finger of the Philadelphians at the end of his life. You knew that this would actually lead and give credibility to Joe's statement that, like, literally, we are all thinking that someone should be investigating this side, this angle, because you know what? You guys are failing to act like this is anything at all. And in fact, you just dismiss it and don't talk about it and move on. And then you just defend your pro-Philadelphians to the end. That's literally one of the reasons why you are all number one suspects in our mind, because of this issue.
So this new report comes out from Shellenberger, and it says, as you see on your screen, that Joe Kent says he's willing to testify at the trial of Tyler Robinson.
Did you guys catch what Candace said? So no, Andrew once again is misrepresenting what actually happened. Okay. Shellenberger told Kent, like, do you realize that if there really is a foreign tie, like your statements from your resignation letter pointing that you believe that there was possible foreign ties that you weren't able to run down and check off the box, and it was left unfinished, that the defense could call you as a witness. Do you realize that? And Joe, yeah, I realize that. So would you testify if the defense called you to testify to what you just have publicly stated to all of us? Would you go and testify to that fact? And Joe said, yes, that's all that happened. And now all of these fake news pundits are misrepresenting what actually happened to try to slander Joe.
So this is obviously a huge bombshell and escalates everything to a much bigger level. I have reached out to Michael Shellenberger, and he has agreed to come on the show today. He interviewed Joe Kent for this report. So these are Joe Kent's own words. Michael Shellenberger will be joining us at 1:30 Eastern. So set your clocks and please.
Look what it says. If I ended up having to play that role, says the former top counter official, then I'll do it. How is that the same as saying, like, I'm going to testify, for the trial of Charlie Kirk's alleged assassin, like in defense of Tyler. Okay. Even though I think he should, I think that's a fair statement to even make at this point, that Tyler Robinson needs us to defend him and testify on his behalf. Even still, that's not what Joe said. But even if he did, there's still nothing wrong with that statement, because Tyler Robinson, it appears, as much as we know at this point, is just a patsy 100%.
Please tune in then. It's going to be an important conversation. And Blake, let's just take this out a step and explain why this is actually a really important thing. As you know, did you guys just see Blake look off camera and he like lift his eyes? Someone was like, someone is right to the left of the camera looking at Blake, and they're like, you
better. You ready? Like, come on, put on the gloves, come out swinging. Come on. And he goes, you saw that, right? Please tell me you guys saw that. I don't want to go back again.
A lot of conspiracy theories that we do not indulge, that we do not discuss. This is different. Joe Kent was a government official at a very important post.
Incredible.
And now he's saying he's willing to testify ostensibly on behalf of Tyler Robinson.
No, it's not ostensibly, dude. You are putting that in. He just said, you saw the quote, if that's the role, I'm willing to do it. That's it. That's literally the quote, dude. Because if the defense calls him to testify to what is already publicly known at this point, that he resigned, right? And that part of the resignation had to do with the war, but also that the FBI shut down his attempt and his department's attempt to look into any foreign ties into the Charlie Kirk assassination. That's it. And that there possibly was more to look into. There was more leads to run down, as Joe said.
Yes.
This is a bigger deal. This is a line cross that we have not seen.
Yeah.
Yes. Let's just recite it where he says,
let's go, Blake.
Kent, this is Shellenberger's reporting on Substack. Kent said he knew he might be called as a witness before he made his statements that a, quote, foreign nexus may have been involved in Kirk's assassination. I was definitely...
At this day and age, you guys, no one needs to do air quotes. Stop with the bunny ears. Just say your statement, dude. You look stupid. Even more stupid than you already look, dude. You look stupid.
Definitely warned of that over and over again, said Kent. If I end up having to play that role, then I'll do it. It's not something I'm seeking.
Okay. You guys, this is so crazy. He can't just read it. He's like putting all of this extra, like acting, like the tone and the affect, and he's got to like sell this to us. Like he's getting into character. Like, bro, just read the words. How do you know what he sounded like? Just read the words. You're a moron.
When pressed that his testimony could help the Robinson defense, Kent said, then honestly, so be it. If it gets us to the truth, that's obviously the risk I'm taking. Neither Robinson's attorneys nor the prosecuting attorneys responded to a request for comment. And then I'm not sure if there's more. I might have to pay for Shellenberger's subscription.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I'm sure it does go further. And we're going to, like I said, be talking to Michael Shellenberger in the second half of next hour at 1:30 Eastern. And I can't wait to hear what he has to say. This to me is galaxy brain run amok. And
do you guys know what that means? I heard that earlier. I've already watched this like 3 times. What does galaxy brain run amok even mean? All right, someone put it in a text, put it in the chat or something. I have no clue.
Well, let me explain why I say that. Jonathan Turley, who is I guess he's a contributor to Fox News, legal contributor. He's a professor of law at George Washington University, said that 90% of the evidence accumulated against Tyler Robinson could be thrown out. So the defense could be successful in throwing out 90% of the evidence, and he would still be found guilty of murder.
Like, let's refresh people. There is a murder weapon that was found near the site of the
that was placed there by the FBI. So I'm going to actually tell you the facts that they're not willing to tell you, because it points to everything other than the official narrative and anyone other than Tyler Robinson. And this whole Turley person, dude, total shill, total propagandist. If 90% of the BS evidence that we all know, right? The evidence that when Candace asked Erica, like, how are you guys so positive that Tyler did it? What evidence do you guys have that we don't have that makes you guys so confident? It's weird. You guys are so confident, and we are like not at all. Well, we are as confident that Tyler is innocent that you are that he is guilty. So please help fill in the gaps for us, because this doesn't add up. And she goes, oh, no. Just the evidence that you guys know. That's what we know. What? Okay. So if 90% of the BS evidence that they're about to use as what makes them so confident, you guys, It couldn't be more clear. They're all covering for each other. They're all covering for Philly. This is my opinion, okay? Because they're all implicated in this, in my opinion, okay? So 4 sweeps for the gun. On the 4th sweep is when they found it, okay? First, the police sweep, no find. Dog sweep, no find. FBI show up, they sweep, no find. FBI then go over to 2 brand new cops that between the 2 of them have less than a year put together. And then the FBI agents go, hey, why don't you give it a 4th time? Because, you know, that's how the saying goes. If at first you don't succeed, try 4 times. And on the 4th time, you shall succeed. And what do you know? On the 4th time, they found the gun.
Shooting. It was owned by Tyler Robinson's family.
Given to him by his grandpa.
Of the caliber used to shoot Charlie.
Okay, we don't know that because the bullet jacket fragment that was stated in the ATF document that was in the recent court documents that was released that the autopsy talks about, this bullet jacket fragment is so small, and the test that the ATF did, it was inconclusive, but what's remaining is so small that the defense and the prosecution, if they test it again, could destroy what's remaining from it. But the original test on it is inconclusive. It's not even conclusive that it's a bullet, you guys. In my opinion, it could be the St. Michael pendant, okay? A piece of metal. It could be a spent round that, you know, Brian Harpole or Dan Flood or Frank Turek had, and they shoved it in the wound in the car. I don't know. That's an opinion. I'm just saying it's definitely not a 30-06 because if there's no exit wound, okay, and it was a 30-06 that hit him and it fragmented inside of him, where's the rest of it? Where is the rest of the bullet? The piece that they found is so small, they can't even continue testing it because it'll destroy it. Where's the rest? And with the gun, the gun, you guys, this gun that they supposedly found that the FBI, in my opinion, placed on the scene, which they had access to, would have his DNA on it. It would have his fingerprints on it. However, remember the gun the image of the gun that was placed, that was pulled offline, that the news media used, and that supposedly the parents saw that gun, this black modern gun. That's the gun the parents looked at and they're like, oh my gosh, that's Grandpappy's rifle. No, it's not even the same gun. That's a modern version of a 30-06 gun. It looks nothing like what the original 1900 World War I Mauser would look like. Not at all. The whole story of what the parents supposedly used to identify the gun and then their son is BS. The pictures of the kid walking down the stairs doesn't look like Tyler at all. Totally inconclusive of who that is. But I mean, it's, in my opinion, it's conclusive that it's not Tyler, but it's inconclusive who else it is. Okay. The video of the kid, the person jumping off the Losi Center with no rifle in hand, you can't tell who that is. It's definitely not Tyler Robinson, in my opinion. And then the 4 people that we see on the doorbell cameras before walking through the neighborhood where Phil Lyman's family all lives, that's not conclusive. The only image that we see of that day that looks like for sure Tyler Robinson is Dairy Queen. That's it. I don't even think he was on campus that day.
It has his DNA all over it.
All over the casings.
They release a photo of the shooter. They are not able to find him otherwise. Tyler Robinson's parents see that photo and think, that looks like Tyler. They begin.
And that's a lie. We know that's not what happened. Okay. The LDS former police friend, okay, who has connections within the local police department and has, you know, his connections and heard what was going on, that when he got the whispers that they were looking for Tyler Robinson, and he knew Tyler Robinson, he was a mentor, and he knew the parents, and he knew how big Charlie Kirk was and how big this assassination and this case was going to be internationally, nationally, and even in the state. He knew he had to get a hold of the parents to say, even if it's not him, which there's no way the parents looked at that photo of the kid with the eagle and the black shirt and the glasses and the hat and the pants walking down the steps. There's no way they looked at that photo and go, that's my son. I'm not even, like, I didn't grow up with him, and I can look at that and go, like, lips are not the same, face is not the same, ears are not the same. There's no way. But the LDS mentor friend contacted the parents and was like, we got to get him to us before they get to him, because who knows what they're going to do. Okay. If he panics and runs, okay, he may not make it alive. We need to get him here in our custody so that we can get him in there before anything happens to him. That is what happened. The parents never saw Tyler's picture or the gun and then was like, oh, that's my son and that's the gun. It's not even the gun. Everything they're saying is a lie.
In asking him things like, where is your, I believe it was his grandfather's gun.
Mm-hmm.
They start asking him this.
First of all, Blake shouldn't be talking at all about this at all, because he was a witness to the assassination. He was there at UVU that day. Andrew is allowed to talk about it. Blake's part of the gag order. Why is he talking at all?
Tyler Robinson starts talking like he might kill himself. They get a friend.
Okay, how can you be, thinking about, unaliving yourself, but at the same time afraid that the cops are going to unalive you? Yeah, you can't. Do you guys remember that a lot of what was reported initially, it's not in the charging documents, it's not even in any court filings, it's not used as evidence, it's not even a part of the official story anymore. Like the screwdriver, gone. Doesn't exist, not there. Okay. Him, being, thoughts of unaliving himself, not true. The fact that his parents saw the photos and the gun and of him and was like, oh, that's my son. The fact that they said that Tyler admitted that he turned himself in and he admitted to it, didn't admit to it. Because remember, they said he admitted to it, but then he wasn't cooperating. How does that work? It's because he didn't admit to it. But these are all the things that they can continue to spout as facts because they were said, and they're stuck in so many people's minds, and so many people that believe the official narrative are stuck on these facts, air quotes, bunny ears, as actual facts, and they're not.
The family to sit down with him. He admits that it's him. Nope. They get him to drive up to Orem and turn himself in. His parents,
they convince him, dude, you're not going to make it to tomorrow. You need to get here now. We will make sure we go in with you and that nothing happens to you. We will stick by you and make sure we fight this together as a family. But if you try to run, it's not going to end good. That's what happened.
Helped him turn him in. And you run into people who say that didn't happen or that's fabricated.
It is.
There's digital confessions.
There's digital confessions, but also...
No, look how they jump. So to people say that portion that preceded that statement is what didn't happen. And then in order to try to justify that previous statement, they're going to say, well, there's digital confessions. Oh, like the Discord chat, fabricated. Easily done by anyone, anywhere with a computer or a phone. Okay. Number two, the whole text between him and Lance, totally not him, 100% not even a human. Okay. We could thank AI for that, or some out of touch old person, woman. It doesn't read like a 22-year-old kid, male kid. The picture, oh yeah, he wrote the picture and then he said to throw it away, but then I took a picture of it.
His parents are out there. They have never stepped forward and said this is a...
They can't, man. They're also listening to Tyler's legal representation. If they're saying like, don't say anything right now, don't do anything, because I don't think that Tyler's defense is helping him at all. I think they're part of this. Turns out they members of the defense team were helped defend Warren Jeff, the FLDS dude, or his brother or something like that. I heard that on the Phil Lyman space over the weekend. They're clearly not working in Tyler's best interest. Go listen to Baron Coleman, a lawyer. Go listen to Entheogenic Esquire. Both former lawyers say that what the defense is doing is not helping Tyler.
Lie. They could easily do that. It would be trivial to do that if it was the case. They have not done that. His parents turned him in. That is the most obvious piece of evidence in the world that nothing can argue around. And some people are so obsessed with these same conspiracies that they concoct for every other thing that ever happens. And so they have to shove it into this one too, because they care more about their conspiracy theories than about the person who murdered my friend facing justice.
That's Blake heated, guys. That's Blake mad. That was Blake as mad as you're ever going to see him. All right, we got Jim Bear here. Go Max. Christ is king every day. Every day, Christ is king. And I'm going Max today. All right, who we got? We got Heather has issues. Erica forgives Tyler, but not Candace. Yeah, they're mad that Joe Kent released text messages, supposedly, even though he didn't. But let's just say, okay. But they're not mad that the FBI shut down Joe Kent and the NCTC looking into any foreign ties. American Lynn, remember to hit the like and subscribe. Blackline Crew, yes, hit the like and subscribe as you come in, because you never know what's going to happen and you might have to leave and you forget. Okay, so do it now. Thank you. We got a new member? Jim Bear, what happened? I thought you were a member. What are you doing? All right. That's one of my mods. What's going on, Jim Bear? We got to talk. All right, let's get back to it.
I am fed up with it.
He looks fed up.
You should be.
You should be.
This is, I mean,
he doesn't even know what to say. It's ridiculous. It's fake. You guys are phonies. Hopefully you respond to some of my X posts. I tagged you both in them. Okay. You're going to see them. It's going to let you know in your notifications. Okay. Be the man that Charlie was, the man that you've never been. And why don't you stand up for once? Why don't, Blake, you get a hold of Candace and debate her if you're so positive? Andrew, why don't you do that? Why don't you call Barron and you answer some questions about what flight you were on, dude? Or were you with some lady you weren't supposed to be with? That's like literally the only other possibility. But it's beginning to look a lot like that's not even a possibility. Okay. It's beginning to look a lot like what Candace and Barron are laying out this week. What they've laid out before is that you were on the flight from Arizona to Provo to make it look like Erica, and Erica was already there, in my opinion, based on all the text threads that came out that you were unavailable, you didn't have Wi-Fi, then you got Wi-Fi with the times. Poor Aubrey, you guys all made Aubrey, create that the letter to the press and to the organization, and then you fired her. You guys are disgusting. None of you have real. Ugh.
This is a tough job for us today, to be honest, because this is really personal. It's
not personal the way he's saying it right now. It's not personal because his boss was assassinated. It's personal because he's implicated. It's personal because this points to Philly. And if Philly's implicated, then all of them are. They know that. This is so huge, you guys. If this continues to roll down, Tyler's out for sure. At least there's enough doubt that it's going to be a hung jury or whatever. He won't be convicted. Okay. And then we're going to be looking. We need to look for who did it then.
Open to everything. I think, candidly, I don't get enough credit for even the fact that I shared these group chats in the first place. We shared a lot of information.
Holy crap. I forgot. I've watched it 3 times. I can't remember. There's so much BS. He wants credit, you guys. You guys. Andrew's not getting enough credit. Oh, that's what's really wrong here. Andrew's ego is not being inflated. Huh. You're not getting credit because you're a scumbag and you refuse to do what a real man like Joe Kent told you to do. You need to release this to the public. And you denied because you know that this would make Charlie out to be what was happening in his end of his life. He was leaving the pro-Israel cause and he was going to turn completely. And he was going to be honest. You knew that. That's why you didn't want to share this. And you know now after the fact that it implicates all of you.
About trans, about Charlie, how Charlie was more concerned about than any other community about the trans coming after him. You want to know the truth? That's actually the truth. I heard over the course of
It's the truth because Andrew said so, guys. We don't have any actual audio recordings of Charlie, no video recordings of Charlie saying it. Once again, we have Charlie beyond the grave completely saying whatever they want him to say. Oh, but just a couple days. Oh, I'm not going to speak on behalf of Charlie. I'm just going to echo his sentiments, says Erica Kirk. And now Andrew's going to say, oh, I know for a fact. Actually, that's the truth. The truth is that Charlie was way more afraid of the radical left taking him out than Philly. No, you're a liar. And you know that because he texted everyone the night before and said, they're going to kill me in response to everything that was happening in the last 2 weeks of his life. You're an evil person, dude.
the last 2 years of Charlie's life, probably about 50 references of how he knew that trans Tifa was going to come after him, and he was worried about that.
Specifically, guys, how did they know? These guys are psychic. Trans Tifa, not just like anyone on the crazy left, the trans Tifa left. Oh my gosh. You need to go buy a lotto ticket, dude.
That's the truth.
Oh.
Never mentioned one time about the Jews.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? Never once.
So he's lying because he got the text the night before, and so did Dan Flood and Frank Turek. We know Candace said so. He's lying like it's air. The way you and I breathe is how all of these people lie. They do it without even thinking about it.
And here's why it's so frustrating is because there is going to be even more evidence that is presented to the public in May at the evidentiary hearing, okay? And it's a mountain of evidence.
A mountain.
Some of which has been made public, some of which has not been made public yet.
Then how do you know? If it's not been made public and you're not part of the circle that would be shown this evidence, and neither is Erica, and Erica told Candace that she knows what we know, and that's it, and nothing more, nothing less. This mountain of evidence, this 90% could be thrown out and the 10% would still convict him, is what we all know. And it's not a mountain, okay? It's more like a crater. It's going in the opposite direction of what you're trying to say it is. And you're pulling a trust me, bro moment, and you're not Charlie. Nobody trusts you, nobody trusts Erica, and nobody trusts Blake Neff or Mikey McCoy, which they took that kid out of the limelight. Like I haven't seen that guy. Like, you know, when he walked away for everybody's sins, everyone, they got him out of there. He did a couple shows that following week, but after that, I mean, they're like, dude, you need to go in hiding. You're not good for us.
And the prosecution is going to lay out its case against Tyler Robinson. And I'm told it's a whopper. I'm told they've got this guy.
Who's telling him? They can talk. The defense, the prosecution's calling Andrew. Got a whopper. We got a whopper, Andrew. We got him. You're just making it up, bro. There's nothing there that we don't know. Nothing.
Dead to rights.
Dead to rights.
And meanwhile, you have government officials that are now saying on the record to journalists, they are willing to testify on behalf of the defense.
That's not what he said. He said, I will testify to what I know. And if that ends up being, you know, on behalf of Tyler, then what does that say about the case against Tyler? If the truth that Joe Kent has, and he testifies to the truth about his experience, what he knew, what he still needed to do, what was left, the leads he wasn't allowed to run down, all the questions that came back silent, they let him fall and die. If that ends up being a defense for Tyler Robinson, what does that say, dude? What does that say? It means that it points to somebody else. It means it points to all of you and Philly, in my opinion.
To get Tyler Robinson off the hook for something that he did.
He didn't do it.
So the level of betrayal that I currently feel is...
He just says it like, just like I could say, you know, I'm going to go to Raising Cane's later and get food. Yeah, because I like their chicken fingers and I like the sauce. Yeah. And he says it like that the level of betrayal, I feel, is like getting chicken nuggets, man. Yeah, I'll take some sauce with that. He's not feeling betrayed. This guy is a joke. Oh my goodness.
Dramatic and extreme. The level of just frustration, the idiocy that is on full display.
You look like it.
We have to call it out, because if this ends up screwing up the jury pool, if this ends up in some ways getting a hung jury, getting this case thrown out, or even just getting the death penalty off the case, off the potential list of consequences here, I'm not going to be happy with that. I'm telling
you, going to throw a tantrum, Andrew? Are you and Blake going to throw a tantrum? You're not going to be happy. We don't care if you're happy, dude. We don't care about your freaking feelings. Okay? We're done caring about all of you. You guys are all just so evil. It's so clear. The only person we care about is Charlie Kirk, because he's not here to fight for himself and defend himself. We don't care about your feelings, Andrew.
telling you that as somebody who was open to all different options, I didn't care where the truth led.
Yeah.
This is where the truth led. This is it.
Yeah.
And for any fair-minded person, this is crackpot conspiracy, garbage, brain rot stuff. And now it's gotten really serious. This isn't podcaster junk. This isn't like social media.
That's what I'm saying, guys. This is good. Joe Kent did the most honorable thing. He knew this was big. He resigned from his position, not only because of the war in Iran, in opposition to that, but he's never even publicly attacked anyone. He's just stated what his experience was, what happened, what he wanted to do, what he had left to do, and what he couldn't do. But he knew this is huge, and they know it. That's why they're doing what they're doing.
Conspiracy nonsense. This is an actual government official who's now going to be called to testify on behalf of the defense.
Thank God.
And that is a bridge too far. That is a line in the sand that we must hold, because this could negatively impact the trial of the assassin of my friend, of Blake's friend. So that's the breaking news. I don't want to dwell on it for the whole show here, because we're going to have Michael Shellenberger come on.
We're not going to dwell on it for the whole show, just this first half. We're going to take a little break from it, a little hiatus, and then we're going to come back to it, and we'll dwell on it later.
Next, in the next hour, and he can tell us more about what he knows. But if this is how it reads, this is an egregious, egregious moment that we're having to live through.
It's egregious. Look at they.
Strong cell.
Bro, these two are such chumps. And now they have to open their little drink box, and they got to plug this little item now.
You know, I don't think we can get all hyped up this time. I'm in a bad mood.
Yeah, strongcell.com. It's good. Honestly, it's good to change the subject. Strongcell.com.
Tastes like orange.
NADH. Powers your cells. Gives you energy when you don't otherwise have it, which is great. Brain fog, fatigue, chronic illness. Check it out, strongcell.com. Amazing, amazing guys. Charlie loves Strong Cell, so that's a happy memory. And it will actually change the way you feel, the way your brain works, the way your cells function.
I mean, NAD plus, NAD, it is good. It's good for you. I agree with that. But I think it's crazy that he goes, that's a good memory.
And now they have a 90-day risk-free money-back guarantee. Give it 4 to 6 weeks. You will notice the difference. Code Charlie for 20% off checkout.
Charlie's name, you guys, is the discount code. But Candace Owens is making money off Charlie. She's grifting. Charlie's name is the discount code that when people put that in, they get part of the money. When people buy this product with that code, they get some of that. But Candace is the one trying to profit off Charlie. I mean, Charlie Kirk show, Charlie Kirk's picture, charliekirk.com, freedom at charliekirk.com. But it's Candace is the evil one.
Strongcell.com. Great friends of the show. Great guys, too, out of Texas. Amazing company they built. All right. We need a commercial break, candidly, and then we're gonna pivot to some happier news. But again, we have Michael Shellenberger coming on at 1:30, so please join us then. We're gonna get into that story more. We'll be right back.
All right, we're gonna go straight to it. I'm gonna read Let me pull it up. Let me get to it, and then I'm going to read the supers that are in. Just give me a second to get to the point. It's right there. Yep, that's where we're at. All right, let me go to the supers that we have. All right, we got some supers. Where did we leave off? Jim Bear. Oh, Crystal, we got gifted a membership. Thank you, Crystal. Thank you for doing that. And then we got Sonia Moore. You always say what I'm thinking, and it's so refreshing. No BS, spitting the facts. Love it. Thank you, Sonia. I appreciate it. Mystic gifted 5 Blackline Brief memberships. Thank you, Mystic. We got a super here from M. What up? M made it. Thank you for being here, M. Thank you for the super. If you guys wait, let me go back. If those of you don't know M, she's a warrior on X. Okay, go if you guys are on X, formerly known as Twitter. Go over there. Her handle looks just like that. Her picture looks just like that. I literally like retweet her all the time because she's spot on. Okay, so please go give her a follow. Let's see. We got Jane, Seth, Rupert. So the hypothesis is Andrew Kolvet was Erica's planned alibi by being on a big plane, pretending to be Erica. Why the big plane lie? Confused. Okay, so I think, oh, we got way more too. Hold on. Let me stick here for a second. If Erica is in Provo and she's not on the ground, all right, someone has to fly on the plane from Arizona to be Erica. Okay. It is theorized based on the text messages that were going back and forth inside TPUSA that day, that the flight that they say he was on, because he got notified and then he remained in Santa Barbara for 3 hours and then was on a flight. Well, that doesn't actually add up with all the text messages that have been released that are timestamped and show when they're saying, you know, we can't get a hold of Andrew. He's on a flight. Or Andrew's like, oh, my internet just came back on, or I'm on a plane. All of the things they're saying privately that have now come out actually point to him being on the plane that supposedly Erica was on. So then if Erica's not on that plane, where's Erica? How did she get to Provo? It's most likely she was already there. Okay. And that Andrew is, it's not an alibi, I guess, in the sense that he is pretending to be Erica on the flight. Okay. And then the flight that he's supposed to be on, he wasn't on. And then his wife comes later, because you got to take into consideration all the other things that we know from that he flew in. Erica waited on the tarmac for an hour, and then they had this warm embrace and cried together. But Erica can't remember, was Andrew Kolvet's wife there or not? Didn't answer. I think you'd remember that. But then Justin did say, yeah, oh, yeah, that's right. His wife was on the plane. Okay, there's all of the things that they are spouting as the official story don't actually add up with all the investigation that like Candace and Barron has done. And Ian Carroll, because he did a lot of the early work on the flights. And so what it really points to is that Erica was already there. Andrew flew from Santa Barbara to AZ so that he could be on the flight pretending to be Erica to fly in at that time, because that's when he was actually unreachable, was the flight time when he was above 3,000 feet flying in the air, being Erica. That's the time that we see in those text messages where he's unavailable. And then the time when it descends and regains internet access and data is when Erica's flight actually descends below 3,000 and is landing. So everything points to him actually being in Arizona and on the flight that Erica is supposed to be on, and that therefore Erica was already there. Because if he does this warm embrace and Erica's there, then Erica's already there. All right. And I guess what we don't know is why. We don't know why this had to be this way. We just know at this point, this is what it looks like is what happened that day. I think we're going to find out in time why Erica was already there. Because the whole story Candace laid out today, nobody saw Erica in Arizona that day. No one saw her collapse. No one saw her at that place on that airfield. Okay. She's unaccounted for. And Andrew's unaccounted for during the most important time the PR person of TPUSA is supposed to be accounted for, that Aubrey, a 26-year-old little girl, or young lady, sorry, not little girl, young lady, has to do his job for him and then work her butt off and then get fired. We will find out more this week from Barron and Candace as to probably why this story is the way that it is. At this point, it just looks like this is the actual facts, and that what they're saying, where they were, who flew where, Justin Strife got all the planes for everyone, and isn't what actually happened. All right, we got American Lynn, new member. Thank you, American Lynn. We got Jim Bear, Justice for Charlie. Thank you, Matt, for always going Max. Thank you, Jim Bear. Talk to you later why you weren't a member. You're my mod. You're not a member. You let it lapse. It's all good. I'm just kidding. We got American Lynn, member for 1 month. Woo woo. We got maybe Jessica. Maybe not. Matt, where are you from? You strike me as a Cali boy. Yeah, I'm from Southern California. Oceanside, California. Went to Vista High School, and then I was stationed at Camp Pendleton. So, Cali through and through. Guilty as charged. Courtney Kimbler. This is legit the best part of my day. Always honest and straight to the point. Keep going, Max. Gonna keep going, Max. All right. Keep getting those in as you guys see fit. Let's get back to it. Wait. I almost pulled it. Almost made you listen to them talk without seeing. All right. Let's see it.
It's an amazing course. charlieforhillsdale.com. All right. As we mentioned earlier, we were going to be joined by Michael Shellenberger, and he's joining us now. Welcome to the show, Michael. It's great to have you. Thank you for, we talked this morning after your story broke, and boy, oh boy, this is a big one. And you interviewed Joe Kent, and so I'll let you say it in your own words. What did he tell you?
Hey, thanks for having me on, Andrew, inviting me on. I think it's pretty big news. Joe Kent, of course, the former director of the National Counterterrorism Center, has been saying for the last week that he thinks that he doesn't buy the lone shooter theory of the assassination of Charlie Kirk. He suspects there's a foreign nexus, was the words he used, involved in that.
So that's actually already a lie. He said on Tucker, he said, this is the official narrative. They're saying that it's Tyler, and it might be. That's what Joe Kent said. He said, and it might be. Okay. He didn't say that he knows that it's not. He said he doesn't really believe all of these supposed facts and evidence that point to Tyler. But really, his whole point wasn't even focusing on trying to say that Tyler's not it. All Joe's point in all of this was that he felt based on knowing all of the surrounding information about Charlie's life before the assassination, what was going on in Charlie's personal life with the donors and the pressure and his stance changing. Just go watch the Megyn Kelly and Charlie Kirk episode that they do together. The sit down that he does with Andrew Kolvet and the students. His view on Philly was changing. And then you look at everything that TPUSA, Erica Kirk, and Andrew, and all of them have done after the assassination to actually completely turn and go back to just completely, Philadelphian shills and, supporting the war in Iran and defending Bibi and Philly. He's saying this seems like there's more here. And as he began to look into it, there was more leads for him to run down. He had not been able to cancel out the possibility that there was a possible foreign tie. And he actually never said that it points to Philly. He just said that with the surrounding information, that's kind of what he was working on off of that information. But really, he was just looking at foreign ties, period. But just pay attention to how they just twist and manipulate and lie and misrepresent things that Joe actually said and what he didn't say.
Assassination, he said that the FBI prevented him from investigating it.
They did.
And that he viewed that as suspicious.
Yeah,
and if there was nothing there, he told me, then why did they prevent him from investigating it?
Exactly.
I asked him if he was aware before he went public last week that Tyler Robinson, the suspected assassin of Charlie Kirk, that his defense attorneys might actually call Kent to the witness stand to argue that that Robinson could not be convicted because the prosecutors had not given them all the information they had available to them. That's something known as the Brady Rule, named after a Supreme Court decision, I believe in the 1960s.
That's called a Brady violation.
But nonetheless, most people are familiar with it from television, which is that the prosecutors can't deny, federal government can't deny, the government can't deny the defense any information. And Kent is saying that there is information and that the investigation itself was.
No, he's saying that there might have been information. He had some information, but it wasn't conclusive as to what it was. But he had more work to do to really determine whether there was or wasn't credible information to point to a foreign tie. Okay. And notice that Michael Shellenberger is the one that poses the question to Joe. Joe didn't just like out of nowhere say like, I'm going to testify on behalf of the defense and Tyler Robinson. Michael Shellenberger asks Joe, do you realize that you could be called?
Inadequate. And that, I spoke to a constitutional legal scholar yesterday who said, it would be a no-brainer for the defense attorneys now for Robinson to use Kent's statements as a way to, gain an advantage or potentially a hung jury or a mistrial or something of that nature. So it's pretty serious for people that are interested in seeing justice served with the assassination of Charlie Kirk.
How can they determine what justice is if no one knows 100% yet who did it? How can they sit here and say that justice is and only is Tyler Robinson being convicted, found guilty of this assassination solely, a lone gunman by himself, and that then he faces the death penalty? They're saying that is the only justice for Charlie, that anything else is not justice for Charlie. How evil and disgusting is that? It's just as bad as Erica Kirk, at the memorial 11 days after the assassination, when we and everyone knew even less facts yet about who did it and who didn't, and is Tyler Robinson guilty. How much more disgusting is her statement that she forgives a young man, a 22-year-old kid with his whole life ahead of him. She forgives him of something that there's no way she could know for a fact he did. That's just as disgusting as saying that the only justice is Tyler Robinson is found guilty and is given the death penalty. That's how evil these people are. Tyler Robinson isn't even a human being to them. It's just a means to an end so that they can wipe their hands of this, wash their hands of Charlie, say they did what their duty was. They got the killer, found guilty, sentenced to death, and now they can move on. That's really all it is.
Well, listen, Michael, I know that you have to be sort of dispassionate. You're a reporter. But to me, this feels like a giant red line. This feels like galaxy brain run amok. Did you get a chance to ask him just straight up, just because he didn't get let into the investigation doesn't mean it wasn't investigated?
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate the point. I'm trying to, the truth is I actually like kind of everybody involved in this. I've actually admired Kent and the things he said in the past. I also care a lot about the transgender issue. We reported it exclusively on leaked
You've
files.
Been amazing on this issue, Michael. Just to underscore your point, you have been one of the lead voices exposing some of the craziness and the zaniness behind the transgender radical trans ideology. So I just
wait. So do you mean that Michael Shellenberger has a personal interest in this being a trans Tifa crazy leftist's boyfriend who pulled this off. Like, he's invested in this personally, that this vindicates him in his previous work in saying that this is a major issue we're all facing, which I'm sure it is to some degree. Okay. And I'm sure it is, but that's not actually what this is about, because it's not Tyler.
Just wanted to give you some bona fides there.
Oh yeah, bona fides.
Thank you. Yeah, obviously it's a big issue, and I think many Americans felt that they didn't need to pay attention to the issue at all. But now we've seen trans-identified people engaged in shootings. Obviously, or maybe not obviously, probably obviously to your audience, it was the last thing that Charlie Kirk was talking about before he was assassinated.
You guys, how is this not ironic to everyone that's sitting there? Like this doesn't. All of these little things that they state as reasons why this is so clear that this is what it is, a transgender person, a boyfriend. And then, the question that Hunter, like Kozak asked the question, like, oh, it's just, dude, that actually points to this not being the official story, being what actually happened, that's just what is being fed to us. And it's complete BS.
Assassinated. It appears as though the evidence that Tyler Robinson committed that assassination is pretty overwhelming. And to be fair to Joe Kent, he didn't dispute that. What he's raising here is that there may be some broader conspiracy, and there's not a lot of evidence for that. And but nonetheless, because Kent is such an important.
So this journalist who didn't have access to what Joe Kent had access to says that there's no evidence, or not a lot of evidence for that. Joe Kent couldn't even share and speak on the actual evidence that he is talking about on Tucker Carlson and all the other shows he went on, and he's going to go on Sean Ryan. But so what is he saying? What is Michael Shellenberger talking about? Like, he knows of the evidence that there's not really a lot of.
Important voice. He could easily be used by the defense attorneys. I did directly ask him repeatedly that, given that his agency is an intelligence gathering, or really an intelligence synthesizing and coordinating agency, as part of the broader coordinating intelligence mission of the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, he didn't have the authorities to do a law enforcement investigation. It was an FBI investigation. And didn't he sort of need to trust that his colleagues at the FBI and elsewhere, and also with the Utah police, law enforcement, at some point, you can pass along a tip or an idea, but don't you at some point have to sort of trust, unless you have other evidence?
No, bro, either you're just really dumb or you're just really corrupt. Because if there was foreign involvement in this assassination, it's actually the NCTC that would be the ones to investigate that, not the FBI. And definitely not the state of Utah, and not local police in Utah. It's literally the NCTC, and Joe Kent would be the correct body to investigate the foreign tie angle. And that's all he was trying to do. And got shut down by a department, the FBI, that would not do that. And he knew that they wouldn't do that. And by them shutting him down, it died there.
And I asked him if he had other evidence, of some sort of corruption or conspiracy. And he said he didn't. So it kind of raises the question of, what is this sort of based on? Because I think it's worth pointing out to people that the restrictions on Kent's authority to investigate the Kirk murder are not arbitrary. It's not something that Director Kash Patel, whatever you think of him, sort of invented as a way to stymie a proper investigation. Those restrictions on investigative power are what protect us as citizens. It's written into our Constitution.
Joe wasn't trying to investigate the murder alone, that the shot or the explosion or whatever it was that ended up killing Charlie that day, that happened in Utah. He's not trying to find that individual. He's looking at if there were foreign ties that funded it, that aided the people that did it, that aided in the covering it up. So he's just looking at any possible foreign involvement in the planning, preparation, execution, and cover up of the assassination. That's it.
Part of our Lockean system of government. And I think we saw the intelligence community abuse those powers to create the Russiagate hoax, the Russiagate conspiracy hoax. So, and it's not just that. I mean, we can go through, that wasn't the first time the intelligence community had abused its powers. But when you go through, the restrictions on Kent that I think for people that maybe haven't thought about it a lot or haven't, that aren't familiar with the intricacies of why these laws exist.
Oh my gosh, you're putting everyone to sleep. All right, let's move on to the next thing. Where is it? Here it is. All right, I'm just going to forewarn everyone. Yes, it's two of the most annoying people on the internet, one of which I didn't even know existed until yesterday, but she's reached the top of the charts in less than 24 hours on my list. And she's paired with the person that's on everyone's list as one of the most annoying people besides Ben Shapiro, annoying to look at and to listen to. But let's hear what slop they're selling today.
Josh Hammer from the Josh Hammer Show, one of my colleagues at the Salem Network on the Salem News Channel as well. So good to have you back on. You are flying high, my friend.
Guys, just go look up the Salem Network. It's not. It's a Philly thing, Yeah.
And it's wonderful to see. How are you?
Aaron, I'm doing just great. There is never a shortage of things to talk about, though, and I'm sure we'll get into a lot of that and more.
Let's jump straight in. We don't have long, and that's my fault, not yours. I want to go straight to Joe Kent, the Candace Owens alleged leaking. I had an interview with Rabbi Willicke where he essentially said that it was Andrew Kolvet who had passed on the text messages, the screenshot, to Joe Kent. You came in off the top of that and said you believe that was the case as well. We've just seen Kolvet go on his show and say, yes, it was him. Is your mind exploding, or are you saying, well, I figured?
So, Aaron, just to kind of briefly recap here. So this is a WhatsApp chat that Charlie Kirk had personally formed with 7, 8, 9 people, literally fewer than 10. It was not a very large chat. He called it Saving Civilization. The whole purpose of this chat was to bring Jews and Christians together, bring the United States and Israel together. He viewed those four.
That's interesting. Some of this is new. And I know that a lot of people just left when they saw his face pop up there. Hopefully they come back because this is pretty important. Charlie created this group. And if we can reference the Bibi Netanyahu letter, right, and we can reference the sit down that Charlie and Andrew did with the chapter leads, Charlie was attempting to salvage the image of Philly here in America. He wasn't trying to destroy it. It was when the Philadelphian donors and Bibi and everyone was refusing to admit that they had anything to fix, that they had to listen to Charlie and to the youth and to American citizens at all. They resorted to, old tactics that they were just going to use mass media, repetition, narrative control, and force their will on us. Charlie's letter to Bibi was admonishing him to change their tactics and their approach, that the ADL, and everyone that they're using to try to control us and subjugate us into compliance to just willingly and endlessly support Philly and their means and their ends was not going to work anymore. And that's the whole sit down with the students. Charlie was trying, and that what this chat was for was to try to get them to listen, try to get them to realize that their approach was dead and it wasn't working, and they needed to adapt a new approach if they wanted to salvage the image at all here in America, or they were going to lose it entirely. And when Charlie realized that they weren't willing to listen, that they weren't willing to change, and then in fact they just wanted to pressure Charlie to say what they wanted him to say and to change. They wanted Charlie to change the minds of his followers. They wanted to use Charlie and have Charlie use his influence and his channel and his audience to change our minds. They wanted to use Charlie to pervert the truth, and he wasn't willing to do that. And when that happened, and he realized that this is a lost cause, and he's like, they're giving me no choice, man. I'm done. That's when they're like, we got to take him out. We got to take him out.
Groups there as what he referred to, Charlie, that is, as the 4 pillars of Western civilization: the United States, Israel, Judaism, Christianity, were Charlie's 4 pillars. And this little brain trust of sorts was his way of trying to make sure that the 4 pillars stayed united amidst all of the friction and the chaos and the tumults and the turbulence. So the chat infamously leaked, as your audience knows, and it leaked last late September, early October. Specifically, Aaron, it actually leaked, or I learned about leaking minutes within I was logging off, as religious Jews do, for 49 hours for the Yom Tov, the Jewish holiday of Sukkot. And I saw this happening. I was like, oh my God, this is going to be quite a story when I turn my phone back on.
Why is she smiling and biting her lip like that? What is happening here? Why is she grinning and going, why is she doing that? She's sitting across from Josh Hammer. Talk about a Jewish holiday. What is going on?
To see what happens. And sure enough, it was over the course of 49 hours that Candace Owens accused me of having complicity in Charlie Kirk's assassination. And it was just awful. So I turned my phone back on. It was, I believe, a Wednesday evening here in the United States. I was up till 3:34 a.m. the night dealing with the fallout of that. Among the phone calls that I placed at the time was to Andrew Kolvet. And I've known Andrew for a very long time. He's always been very, very great, very good to me. But I basically said, dude, like, what the hell happened here? Like what in the world is this about? And essentially what he told me, which I believe is what he told Rabbi Walicki and some of the others in the chat who were trying to figure out how the heck these screenshots got to Candace freaking Owens, what Andrew told me is that his story was that in the first 24 to 36 hours-ish after Charlie was assassinated, when there was not a suspect, Tyler Robinson had not been brought in yet. Kash Patel was leading this joint operation between the feds and between Governor Spencer Cox and the Utah state law enforcement as well there. He turned over part of this group chat to, I can't remember exactly how he described it, to someone working in intelligence or counterterrorism in the administration. I think he actually might have said multiple people. I think he might have said a few people. Again, this is a conversation on the phone from
and I think Candace would be included in a few people. I also don't understand, so if Andrew and all of them are part of this and had foreknowledge and part of the planning and then the cover up and everything, why would Andrew have sent this at all? That's something I don't understand yet. Why would Andrew have sent this to Joe Kent? Why would he have sent it to to Candace Owens? It is possible that, part of, a lot of PSYOP tactics is you just flood the zone with just so much conflicting information that it just confuses everything and everyone, that, it ends up falling apart or falling away eventually. And that just the official government narrative is what makes it to the end. But I still don't know yet what would be the motive. But we know that Erica is the one that has been telling Andrew to do everything that was counterintuitive, like the whole Superman, neck of steel miracle. God did a miracle. Charlie saved everyone with his death, with his neck. That was Erica, not Andrew. She told him to do that. She's the one that said that. So, there's so many things that end up pointing back to Erica being the reason why Andrew said and done things and released things. So it's possible Erica told him to do this, but I don't know why. It's not clear to me why.
5 months ago, I can't quite remember every detail there. So yes, Aaron, I knew all along that this was the most likely scenario, was that Andrew leaked it to someone in the administration, which he said was part of the context of no suspect yet, trying to hunt down every lead. that obviously raises some additional questions, to be clear, as to why exactly he thought that these particular screenshots and this particular chat that my name was all over would be potentially useful fodder for a then active search for a murder suspect. That's a very interesting question. I'm not entirely sure that that Andrew's answered it, to be totally honest with you. But be that as it may, the screenshots apparently got to this individual, and they got to Candace Owens there. Now, around the same time, Aaron, I can't name sources, obviously, but I was told by multiple people around the same time, last fall, I don't remember the exact date, that Tulsi Gabbard, who is the director of national intelligence, and she was Joe Kent's boss as the director of the National Counterterrorism Center, he worked under Tulsi Gabbard. I was told by numerous people who are very much part of the conservative ecosystem in D.C., these are well-sourced people, strong connections to the White House. They told me to be strongly on the lookout for Tulsi Gabbard and her office. They basically said that Tulsi Gabbard is running something of a shadow operation from her office, that she is personally, I was told this, I've met Tulsi, I don't know her well. I was told she's personally actually very anti-Semitic, and that she is heavily involved in a lot of the anti-Semitic influencer operations. And
This guy, dude. And that's what, so, and now they've been attacking Joe as well as the reason, and Rabbi Wolicki did that yesterday, and he's like, every time Charlie would go to the White House, would go to DC after spending time with Joe Kent, Charlie, just being such a young, just so impressionable, would come back heavily charged, against Philly and, that whole thing. But when we say that it's possible that Erica duped him, you guys say, there's no way. He's just so smart. He couldn't be duped by anyone. Okay, but he's duped by Joe Kent on this issue and only this issue. Okay, but he's not duped by all of you working together like this echo chamber, all of you guys around him, surrounding him like a viper's nest, working together. Didn't do it. And just Joe on a weekend or two was able to convince Charlie of all of this. Okay. All right. Sonia, I agree too. Like, you used to question that too in regards to Andrew Kolvet. I think Andrew was trying to scare Candace with that. That's all I can come up with. Yeah, I think that's possible too. Because we know too that Andrew's the one that told Candace, like, it was supposed to be you. I think part of what was meant by this being such a public assassination, it was to scare everyone that remained that was similar to Charlie. So Stu Peters, Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, Megyn Kelly. It was meant as an example. This is what happens when you don't listen and you don't stop talking about Philly. This is what's going to happen to all of you. And I think Andrew saying and doing the things that he did in the weeks after was meant to kind of really hammer that home to Candace. And I think it worked for a minute. I think she was scared initially, and that's why she didn't cover some of the things in regards to Erica and TPUSA and Philly initially. And then she came to. I don't want to spend too much time on this guy, honestly.
That she is potentially involved when it comes to trying to feed some of these narratives. Whatever was somewhat sober, at least on issues pertaining to the Middle East, Iran, Israel, you name it, though. So I didn't put two and two together at the time that it immediately went to Joe Kent, but especially after his disgusting anti-Semitic, dripping with the anti-Semitism conspiracy-laden resignation letter, Aaron, I am not surprised that here...
You guys... There was nothing anti-Semitic in his resignation letter. It's like, if if any of us ever use the, if we ever utter the name of a Philadelphian, okay, and implicate a Philadelphian in anything at all, or if we implicate the country and the leaders of Philly at all, you're just an anti-Semite. So just keep my name out your mouth, keep the name of my country out your mouth, and then we won't label you an anti-Semite. Oh, you know what? Let me hit play. I'm going to find something for you guys and show you what somebody said about that.
Is where we are at when it comes to trying to figure out who it was. And indeed, it does seem, as Andrew on his show said, that it was Joe Kent leaking it.
That's not what happened.
Do you feel betrayed by Andrew?
I'm not happy about the situation. I have told Andrew this myself, so I am not telling you and your audience anything that I have not told Andrew directly. Look, I think I mean Andrew has apologized to me in private. Here's the problem, Aaron. The problem is that whatever the intentions may or may not have been, and if all these stages of the operation are as we believe them to be, Rabbi Wilicki and others and myself, it does look like Joe Kent for sure is the guiltiest party here. Although Andrew should have known better, he should have not.
Oh my gosh, this isn't the one that I'm gonna that I want to show, but I'm gonna show it to start because it. Hold on.
I mean, when I was in the
hold on, let me restart because now I want to make sure I shared it. Goodness gracious. And then it doesn't let you exit out. All right. Okay. It's on there. Okay. It better not cut my stream. That's all I got to say.
I know what they do because I used to ask them to do it. I mean, when I was in the Mossad, and we had a guy that gave us problems in the U.S., and he was speaking out, and he was talking like Pete talked once and said, Israel is bombing Lebanon with cluster bombs. We say, hey, who's that guy? You know, Pete Makaki, we used to call him, which is Pete the cockroach. Because he makes a lot of noise and you can't get rid of him. So what you do is you get in touch with the guy in the station in New York or in the station in Washington. You say, tell the guys at B'nai B'rith to label them. And of course the campaign starts, and before you know it, the guy's labeled. And he's an anti-Semite because that's what we say he is. And that's one stain you cannot wash. Now, it shames me as a Jew to tell you that. But that's the fact. And it's wrong.
That's the fact. And it's wrong. Okay. There's one more. Let me find it. Hold up. Hopefully I don't have to go back too far. Where is that old lady? She was talking about it. She also worked for the Philadelphian government and was saying, yeah, this is a total tactic we use. Totally. All the time. Yeah. Yep. All right. Maybe I saw it somewhere else. All right. I'm not going to keep looking for it and make you guys sit here. All right. Let me go back.
Not have share of this with an individual like this, but Joe Kent is, if he was the leaker to Candace, is the guiltiest party, and frankly, he should be prosecuted because you can't do this. If you're the director of National County,
you can't leak texts, which he didn't do anyway, but text messages that weren't part of any official investigation, weren't considered evidence, weren't considered pertinent. Kash Patel said, go away. This is nothing we need to see here. So what did he actually do that was illegal? Oh, that's right. He did nothing. Okay. All right. So let's see. We got a couple more. We got Mystic. Thank you. And that Bree, what up? Good to see you. Thank you, Bree. Good to see you. All right, let's keep it going. Oh, wait. Let me show you guys this. And then we can hop back over there just because we got to break up how long we have to look at that dude's face. All right. So this happened. This is the ASU Pick Up the Mic event where Blake Neff and Jack Posobiec are answering questions. And this is, what was his name? Ocean Rosso. And I reached out to him. Hopefully he will come on the show. But let's listen to what happens here.
Hi, my name is Ocean Rosso.
And I know it's only audio on one side, so hopefully you guys can hear.
I'm a Turning Point chapter president in my community, and I've had the honor of speaking to thousands all across the state. But one issue I see come up again and again, specifically in my generation, is an apathy when it comes to freedom or the Constitution or even the conservative movement, from both liberals and conservatives in this movement. So my question is, how do you believe it is best for us to combat this apathy and save freedom?
Well, I think that's a great question, and of course we have shirts on, and the shirt that Charlie, was wearing that day, and we sort of talked about it at you know, I get it, right? The reason that people are saying, well, people are saying the system's messed up, so why should I support that thing on the wall over there? That's the system that got us here, so I should be against that. Who cares? Because if that system brought us to this, then what good was the system, right? That's usually what you get in response. And when you look at the building blocks of that, and you know, Blake and I were just talking about it at the outset here, we talked about what happened to Charlie. That's what happens when you move outside that system. That when you move outside that system and you stop having dialogue.
Dude, these guys can't go one appearance without talking and referencing about Charlie Kirk's assassination. Like, they just got to do it. They just have to do it. And that, like, they're the victims. Like, they're the victims. This was what happened to Charlie, but they're the victims. It's disgusting. I can't wait for the 26th that UVU and Frank Turek gets up there and starts receiving questions from the public.
And you stop having conversation and you stop having debate. Like, we have a disagreement, and you know, Blake and I, I'm sure, will be disagreeing all night as we do in our chat rooms and all the rest of it. But the point is that this is the system that brought us to these incredible, dizzying heights that we have as a country, as the United States of America. And we should probably be very careful about being so cavalier about just chopping it down and getting rid of it, because this is the system that brought us to where we are. And so, you know, I think that Charlie would say, use that story, use his story as an example to point out the dangers.
I think Charlie would say, Charlie did say, Charlie said this before. Charlie, stop telling us what Charlie would say, you guys. It just stop.
Of losing the First Amendment or deciding to step beyond voting and dialogue and peace because of how bad things can get, very quickly. And there were a lot of, and by the way, I would say this, and I said this to a lot of media, and you're not saying this, but I'll say this again, that, you know, there are people constantly, you guys, you know, if you're on the right, if you're part of turning point, they'll say, well, you conservatives, you're so violent, you're always practicing violence, promoting violence, right-wing violence is the greatest threat to America. I always say this, I say, really? Really? Because if that were true, if we were really the people that you say we are, then look at how we responded to Charlie Kirk. Did we respond with violence in that situation when we were visited with violence? No, we did not respond with violence. What did we respond with? We responded with prayers. We responded with togetherness. We responded with unity. We responded with peace. I came here to ASU, to that incredible prayer visual that we had. We got together and prayed. That is who we are. And so it's something where, yes, the media is also part of that First Amendment. Don't we love them? But it's part of the system, so that we have that push and pull, and we don't have one side just dominating over the other. And so use real life examples like that.
All right. That's enough of that. It wasn't even that good. My bad. I hadn't seen it. I didn't have time. It came up right before I went live. But I mean, what we do know is that they suck. They're not Charlie. And neither is Frank. Let's see. I had one. Hold on. Let's finish.
Counterterrorism, you can't be leaking at the time active murder suspect leads to anyone.
Can I ask you that, Josh, just because you have a legal background, you've studied law, does this constitute classified because it is part of a murder investigation? That was something that was a point of conjecture. People were trying to determine whether or not the message screenshot would be considered classified information. What's your take?
Well, it definitely is not the kind of thing that someone should be leaking to the media. I'll put it to you that way there. Whether
he didn't leak anything to the media. He didn't leak anything at all. Andrew Kolvet is the one that gave it to Candace, and it's just freaking text messages, dude. You are a joke. All right, let's go back here. Wait, let me see if we have any supers that I didn't get to. What was the last one? It was Breeze. Okay. Good news. John Bray's coming on the show. It's either going to be Friday or Saturday. So that's going to be cool. I'm excited for that. Good news. All right. We're at an hour 30. How are you guys feeling? Do you guys really want to see more of this? Or do you want to hear more of this guy? Let's break it up. Let's listen to this guy. Oh, no. Of course. Hold on. I'm here. I mean, you can't go one episode without something going wrong. Don't worry, I fixed it quick. We're good. Let me get it up. And going. I'm moving fast. Look at this.
A subjective determination by the FBI director. It's written into laws, and those laws are there, first and foremost to protect us, obviously, but obviously part of the process of protecting innocent civilians is also to make sure that you get the guilty party and you don't go off and...
Oh, I wanted to read you guys this. Sorry, hold on. So Galaxy Brain Run Amok describes a situation where an idea, plan, or thought process becomes so overcomplicated, pretentious, or absurdly convoluted that it loses all touch with common sense or practical reality. Yeah. So that doesn't sound at all what Andrew Kolvet is trying to say about this whole Joe Kent thing and there being foreign ties.
Engage in activities that would potentially entrap innocent people.
So two questions for you, Michael. So first of all, I just want to really harp on this point. Did he present a single example of evidence against Tyler Robinson that he believes may have been flawed or mistaken on one end? And on the other end, did he give you a single concrete example of evidence in the case that he believes that specifically that went uninvestigated by the FBI or by any other law enforcement?
I'm afraid I can't answer all of these questions because I have to protect, but I will say that he presented nothing on the record and hasn't presented anything on the record.
Okay. So I want to, I would love to follow up on that, but I have a feeling that we're going to, there's nothing you could say.
Yeah.
I mean, here's the problem though. So he's now essentially said that he's willing to go testify ostensibly on behalf of the defense, on Tyler Robinson's defense. I've heard him say in other interviews that, he said, I'm sure there's a slam dunk case against Tyler Robinson. I'm not saying it wasn't him, but now it seems like almost he's moved on from that point. Did you ascertain his internal sense of the guilt of Tyler Robinson or not?
Well, this is let's get into this part because this is extremely important and important to understand. And I posted all of the on the record portions of our interview. I posted. And also was very careful to make sure that the stuff that was posted was on the record after the fact, confirmed it with Kent earlier today before publishing. So everything that's in that recording is over 30 minutes. I think he also said that he thought that there was a strong case against Robinson, and I don't think he's changed that view. I'm not. Well, I should put it this way. I don't think anybody in the media had yet asked him directly and kind of consistently if he was aware that his allegations could be used by Robinson's defense team to argue that Robinson was potentially a victim of a wider conspiracy.
And that's what he said, man. And I'm done listening to these clowns and all the rest of the clowns tonight. Yeah. Sorry, I was doing a couple things at the same time, wearing many, many hats. Yeah, I mean, Joe never said that he knows or believes that Tyler didn't do it. He's saying that for sure that there seems to be a bigger plan, and there's more people involved because people had foreknowledge. They talked about it in advance online, and that there seems to be that the lone gunman theory is BS. He said that, and that he doesn't buy the official narrative as it is today, and that he believed that he needed to do his job and look into possible foreign ties, and cross that off to be able to say that, that there was no foreign ties. So, yeah. Let's see. M, thank you for the super sticker, M. And M also is the one that was able to find that clip of Jack Posobiec and Blake Neff before I did. She sent it to me. And I was like, how did you find this? And she's like, I just Googled it. I put it in YouTube. I just put pick up the mic ASU, and it came up. And I was like, what? I did that earlier and it didn't come up. She's like, I don't know what to tell you, man. I did it and it came up. Like, man, thank you. So thank M for that as well. And yes, in reply to this one, wait, no, that's not the one. Hold on, where to go? Where is it? Well, it was somebody talking about that. Yeah, you definitely, when you click this, when you subscribe to the channel, you have to re-click it again, the bell, and you have to click all. You have to, or YouTube just automatically puts you under personalized, which is like nothing unless you go personalize it. And so you wouldn't get notified. And I don't know why they do that. If someone's going to hit subscribe, like YouTube should just automatically be like, you're going to get all of it. And then if you don't like it, then you'll come back and you'll click on it and go to personalized or none or something like that. But yeah, make sure you do that so that you get notified of the lives. And yeah. Is there any, let's see. I don't want to get off. Yeah. The other day I got off, because there was no more, comments coming through. But this is like my favorite part of the show. I love hanging out with you guys and like answering questions or reading things that you guys want to say. And so get it in. And yes, please hit the like and subscribe for those of you that showed up after the beginning where I was like, please hit the like and subscribe. It's how you help the channel. So yes, please do that. All right, let's see. We got, Pacific time. Let's see. So it's 6:23 here in Cali. Well, yeah, it's 6:23 here in North Idaho. Southern Idaho is mountain time, but North Idaho is Pacific Standard Time. So I'm on the same time as my friends and fam in Cali. Let's see. Who's saying Friday? What? Something about Friday? Well, Matt, do you think Erica Kirk and Andrew Kolvet will respond to the latest Candace Owens episode? No, I don't. But I think it's going to be on the advice of counsel that they do not. Because unless they have definitive proof of the contrary so that would be the only way that they respond, is if they have definitive proof to shut Candace Owens and Barron, because both of their shows this week was touching on this, that the official story that TPUSA and Justin Strife and Erica Kirk and Andrew Kolvet have told all of us, that that's who was on this flight. This is when they were in the air. This is when they arrived in Utah. Doesn't seem to be the actual truth. Unless they have any proof to prove Barron and Candace to the contrary, to prove them wrong, their counsel is going to be like, you say nothing. It's better to say nothing than to try to say, that they're wrong, but you can't prove it. And then someone's got a picture of you there. Someone's, doing a selfie and you're in the back of the shot on the tarmac in Utah, or not where you're supposed to be. And so that's why they still That's why they have still not denied the Fort Huachuca thing either. And so I think that we can expect TPUSA, Erica Kirk, and Andrew Kolvet's response to be exactly the same with this as they've done with Fort Huachuca, because they don't know if there is actual footage or evidence, pictures, video, CCTV camera, whatever, that could eventually come out to show that, nah, you actually were at Fort Huachuca. You were at the Candle Inn Suites, or you weren't on the flight you said you were on. You weren't in Arizona. You weren't in Santa Barbara. You guys are lying. Yeah. Well, no, yeah, that's good. I think what it is going to be is save the date. Let's see. Let me see right now. Save the date, Friday night at 6 p.m. John Bray will be on this show Friday night at 6 p.m. and it is going to be a banger. You're not going to want to miss it. I got a lot of things I want to ask him. I want to pick his brain. And he's still doing a lot of testing. He's still doing a lot of evidentiary work to try to prove his theory or to fine tune it to find out if the theory has any flaws, then to reevaluate and then go down a different road. As of right now, he's still on the road, Mike, being the thing that had the shaped charge in it and the thing that exploded and killed Charlie. And so I can't wait to have him on the show for all of us to. Who is John Bray? Oh, Bree, where are you? Bree. Okay. So if you've not heard of the exploding mic theory, so Charlie Kirk. All right, let's back up. Let's back up a smidget. Okay. And if you have any questions as it come along, throw them in the chat or throw it in a super, and I'm gonna knock it down. I'm gonna tell you guys what's up. What we saw that day at UVU on September 10th does not point to a bullet being the thing that took Charlie out. That is because the shirt moves before anything happens. And terminal ballistics, the people are... A bullet hitting someone here is not going to make the whole shirt move. Okay? And John Bray and many other people have done reconstructions, and they've analyzed the footage that day of Charlie's shirt being the first thing that moves and the thing that moves the most with the most energy. And it points to something under the shirt causing the shirt to move. And that would make sense, right? Shirts don't just move by themselves. Something under the shirt would have had to act upon the shirt to make the shirt move. Initially, people were saying, oh, that's because he was wearing body armor and the bullet deflected off the body armor, then making the shirt move, and then the bullet hitting him there. No, you can see the footage from the day. You can see his nipples underneath the shirt. He's not wearing body armor. So then people tried to then theorize, well, what do we know for a fact was under the shirt? Well, we know for a fact the Rode mic, the mic that he was mic'd up with, it had the magnet on the outside, but the majority of the mic was on the inside of the shirt. And it's the bigger part of the mic is on the inside of the shirt. That's where the battery would be and all of the hardware to the mic. That's where you would put a micro shape charge. And if you reference the pagers that Philly used to take out people in Hamas and then the walkie-talkies, the technology exists. And it's funny, that the same technology exists from the people that we think are involved. Okay. And that John Bray is the first to really bring this theory to prominence and doing a lot of research. And he brings a lot of expertise in this and explaining how this could have worked and how it would have worked the way that it did. And that's also when we started finding out about accurate energetic systems, which was the plant in Tennessee that exploded 30 days after the assassination and killed everyone in the plant, except for the manager at the time when the contract. So there was a military contract that was filled by accurate energetic systems to create micro shape charges. And it just so happens that that contract was completed on August 25th. And it looks like someone, maybe Butch Hibbs, went to Tennessee to pick up the mic, multiple mics maybe, and that they would have tested this possibly at Fort Huachuca to make sure that they could pull this off. And that what we saw that day in Charlie Kirk was an accident. Okay. John Bray will tell you that there was 2 explosions that happened. One was a primer explosion to separate the mic from the body, right? Because it's sitting flush up against Charlie's collarbone area. And then the shape charge would be the second explosion that went off. But what was supposed to happen, it was supposed to cause a center mass chest wound that would look like a 30-06 gunshot wound. But what we saw was a fluke. We saw something, a variable that they could not account for that day. Maybe it's because of how the person put on the mic. You can see on Charlie that day, it's like crooked and it's not sitting flush, and his shirt is kind of like twisted like that. And that would skew everything that followed, right? The primer charge and the direction of the shape charge would then make it move to a different part of the body than where it was supposed to go. And that because of Charlie, how Charlie was sitting when the explosion went off, and he rolls his shoulders forward and he kind of relax and sits like this. Okay. And you can see when you go like this, it makes this part of your neck, the muscles kind of, thicken up, which would have given a direct line of sight, okay, from the road mic to the left side of Charlie's neck, okay? And that what we saw that day was, like I said, a confounding variable that they could not account for. And it was an accident, and it's not what they planned, and that's why we see the reaction in the security team that day. Things didn't go as planned. That's why so if they had Tyler Robinson as the patsy and they had all of the narrative set up ahead of time for like Phil Lyman, Jacoby, the person that goes on 60 Minutes with Hunter Kozak, and everyone to start spouting the narrative. He was shot. He was shot. He was shot. It was a bullet. It was a bullet. It was over there. You could hear it. We heard the bullet. We saw the bullet. We saw the bullet hit him. We saw the bullet enter him. It was a bullet that killed him. This narrative was just ad nauseum repeated to really get it into our consciousness and us to just accept that, oh, it was a gunman. It was a bullet, and someone shot it, and the bullet killed Charlie. Well, then why was there no exit wound? It was a 30-06. Well, there was supposed to be an exit wound, center mass out the back, and it was going to be bad. But that didn't happen. That's when the pivot from TPUSA, Andrew Kolvet, and Erica Kirk starts to happen with the whole, oh, it was a miracle. They had to figure out some narrative to explain why was there no exit wound. Anyone that shot a rifle, a 30-06 was going to go all the way through. It was going to do tremendous amount of damage to his neck. It would have been really, really bad. So they had to start shaping their narrative to explain why we see, and the bullet wound, there didn't look like an actual bullet wound. And then the blood that came out wasn't a traditional like spray from a high velocity round. You would see lots of thin spray come out first. What we see is kind of like a blunt object pierce his skin, a delay in the blood, like there's something blocking the blood to come out. And then we see the blood pour out of him as some object precedes the blood. It leads the blood. And so it is John Bray's theory, and it's one of the best theories as of right now, that it was a piece of the back of the road mic. That was an accidental piece of shrapnel that caught his neck, caused the wound, blocked the blood, and then came out, and then we see the blood come out. It's either that or it's the necklace. And so John Bray theorized that the reason why we see the shirt move the way that we did was because the primer that exploded to separate the road mic from the body, and then the shape charge explosive that shot across, Well, if Charlie's necklace is under and hanging down around here, the explosion is going to push on the necklace very violently, very quickly. And the necklace is on the back of his neck. So it's going to go down and then it's going to shoot back up. And so John Bray's theory, and it's definitely a good theory, is that the necklace shoots down, breaks. It breaks in the middle of the chain, not at the clasp. And then we see the shirt lift because the St. Michael pendant and the cross are under the shirt, lifting it up. And then at that same time is when the road mic shape charge explodes. And as the shirt comes down, the piece of shrapnel hits his neck. And then you see the necklace fly over the back. You never see the St. Michael pendant. The cross that's on there gets caught on the back of Charlie's shirt. And then the necklace chain hangs out the back of Charlie's shirt. And it actually is hanging out of his shirt all the way into the car. And his shirt is stuck, his necklace and the cross is stuck inside of his shirt, and it makes it into the car. That is the thing that Jesse and those people saying in the Charlie Kirk is alive theory. Oh, there's the tube. It's his necklace. It was a very thick chain. You can see it. And that's how the necklace ends up inside the car and on Frank Turek's bag. We never see the St. Michael pendant again, though. Okay. We see Erica Kirk holding it out of the car. You see the cross. You don't see the St. Michael pendant. What happened to it? Is it possible that the St. Michael pendant got thrown down with such force that it came back up and the St. Michael pendant hit him in the neck and caused the wound? Or was it a piece of the back of the road mic shrapnel that caused the wound? We don't know for sure. In my opinion, it's 100% one of those two. It's something under the shirt that moves the shirt and then causes the wound, because it's not a bullet. Okay. And, you know, that could account for why they find this piece of metal in him that's so small, and it can't be tested. The test is inconclusive. And the remaining bullet jacket fragment is so small that if they test it even further, it will destroy it to the point where they can't even use it anymore. And so that is the exploding mic theory. And so, yeah, that's what I believe happened as well. Let's see. Mystic. Thank you, Mystic. Does that explain? Let's see. Isn't it kind of symbolically beautiful that his cross stayed with him? Yeah, another sign that the Lord was with him the whole time, and him professing his faith in Jesus at the start of the event. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think Harpole twisted the device. Yes, Cynthia Lucas Moore. Yeah, he activated the device in his pocket. It interfered with the speaker system. That's when Philip goes like this and looks at, he calls Dan Flood on the mic, looks at Dan and goes like this. Dan Flood gets on the mic, calls Brian Harpole over. Brian Harpole walks over. Dan Flood whispers in his ear, and then Brian Harpole goes back in his pocket and deactivates the device. And then he goes back to his X, stands on the X, and then waits a little bit, reactivates it as once Hunter Kozak comes up to the mic, he knows that he has X amount of time. Brian Harpole does. He reactivates it, and then he's squeezing some sort of device under his hands, and he's sitting like this, which is so bizarre. You don't sit like that. You sit like this, one hand on the bicep, one hand under. Okay. Brian Harpole is sitting like this, and he has something in his hand, and you can actually see the white of his knuckles that he twists something right at the moment of the Big Bang. Yeah. And that seems to be what triggered either the mic or the mic and the pendant. I don't know, either both, either or. Like I said, we're going to find out more. John Bray's going to come on and tell us the most up-to-date results from his testing, the most up-to-date theory that he has. Yeah. And so I'm excited to have him on. All right. Jesus always stays. Love that observation about the cross. Yeah, I agree. God won't let him die in vain. I firmly believe it. Yeah, no. Because all of us Christians aren't going to give up. We're not giving up, and we're not going to let it go. I don't understand why these guys think, feel, and act with certainty that they are not guilty. Yeah, because they're evil. Because they're evil. All right. They think they're being protected, and in a way they are. Yeah. Yep. I appreciate you guys too. All right. Well, if there's no other things before we sign off for the night, make sure that if you guys haven't, you hit the like, you hit the subscribe. It is the best way to support a channel. And we got one more. Let's see. I mean, I'll stick around. You guys get some more supers. You got things you want to say. Matt, thank you for explaining the mic theory. It really helped me. Hi to the chat. Heather, the best Heather B. Thank you for that. I'm glad. This is the time too, at the end of like an episode. If you guys have questions, there's no minimum. You guys can get you pay the smallest amount to get a super chat in, because it moves so fast that if you get a super chat, you ask me a question or you want me to say something, you guys, I'll read it out loud. I'll answer your questions. I think a lot of people do. My father-in-law is one in particular. When I talk to him all the time, he asks very pertinent questions that, in my opinion, show that a lot of people are confused about certain aspects of the different theories that Candace and Barron cover, because it's just so dense. There's so much going on. And even in the beginning, the question about how do the flights factor in, and the planes, and how does it differ from the official narrative, and what does this mean? What does it imply? Because I watch both Candace and Barron and Ian initially. I don't think he's covering this as much anymore, but he did in the beginning with the flights. I do know this case pretty well, like what the official theory is, and then what are the alternative theories that I personally believe in, and that Candace and Barron believe in as well. Apocalypse Now, thank you so much for the super chat. So kind. I appreciate that. Let's see. My nonstop mind thinks about Andrew. He seems, I don't know. He seems honest a bit and lonely sometimes. Erica has him hooked, like CK. Think hence he will do anything to protect her. I mean, especially, look, I don't think he seems honest. I think he's playing different roles at different times. He's clearly fed Candace good information and then false information. He's honest, but you see he's a dishonest person. 100%. He's dishonest, and he's willing to get up there and say that Tyler's 100% guilty when he doesn't know anything else about the case than what we know. Okay. And so it's just nuts. Where is Pops? He's 2 hours ahead. So typically he's asleep. He fell asleep. You fell asleep? That's a Friends reference. If you guys ever watch Friends, my wife and I, that's like one of our go-to series, that and The Office. We love watching that on repeat. You fell asleep. You had rambled on for 18 pages, front and back. Yeah. So he's usually asleep. He usually tunes in on like Fridays or Saturdays or Sundays is when I see him in the chat. I don't see him today, but yes, let's see. Did I catch up on everything? Yes. Apocalypse Now is the last super in. Matt, you have done a totally amazing summary of the John Bray theory. This is by far the most compelling. Thank you. I tried to know what is the most realistic and possible theory for what took Charlie out, and being able to explain that in a way that helps everyone understand why I think this is the most plausible theory to date, is a very good compliment. Thank you for that. Because it's definitely not Tyler Robinson. It's definitely not a 30-06, and it's definitely not a Mauser from the Losi Center. It just isn't. So, all right. Well, I think we're going to wrap it up. We're at 2 hours exactly. 256 all the way to the end. Hold on. I got my other screen so I can hit refresh and see what. Don't go yet. Wait. You guys are amazing. 286 likes. You guys are the best. That's amazing. That's everybody. That's like everybody. I think we had a little bit over 300 at certain points. You know, you can't win them all, but that's definitely the majority. That's you guys. I'm also working on getting a lot of other people on this show that are important figures, whether it's peripheral figures. Like I've reached out to Dino or Matt Tusseroni, and, you know, getting John Bray on is a huge win. I can't wait. It's going to be amazing. Mark your calendars. Friday night, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. John Bray will be on the Black Line Brief, and we will bring it on Friday. I'll bring it every day, but that's going to be a great episode. You're not going to want to miss it. Thank you guys so much for tuning in today. You guys are the best community on YouTube. I definitely love and appreciate all of you guys for all of your support and your love and your prayers. You guys are the best. God bless you guys tonight. Stay safe. Get some sleep. I'll see you guys. Not tomorrow. That's the other thing. Not tomorrow. Tomorrow night, I'm taking it off. It's actually my children's physical birthday is tomorrow. We're going out to dinner and doing stuff as a family. Their birthday party was this past weekend with friends, but tomorrow's a family night. We celebrate the kid's birthday. So I will see you guys Thursday. Thursday, same time, same place, 6 p.m. God bless you guys. Thank you guys so much. You are the best. Take care. God bless.